Hey guys, I think it's time we sit down and have a little chat. What is up, YouTube? We've got a good one for you this time. At least I think it's going to be a good one. This is something that I've wanted to say, be able to say for a very long time. I quit my job. I guess that's a little bit false because I didn't have a job. I owned a company that I sold. And I did that so that I could work on performance boats and hot rods full time, which is something that ever since I was a little kid, I always kind of dreamed of. And I mean, I've always done it on the side anyways, but I'm just kind of going to give you that story as I feel like you guys might be interested and you're my friends and you kind of want to know what's going on. So here it goes. Probably 2 years ago, I guess, Ryan, one of the young fellows that worked for me, him and I used to joke around all the time. I used to always say, well, when I'm ready to leave, Ryan, you can take over and run the show. A couple of years ago, we started to talk about it a little bit more serious. He was at a point in his life where he's like, I really kind of want to do something. If I'm going to do it, I kind of want to do it now. And I wasn't maybe expecting to do this quite this early. But it got me thinking. I thought, man, how great would it be to be able to build a shop in my backyard and then just work on this stuff full time. And so we sort of put the wheels in motion. We'd sort of come up with a number that worked for both of us and started to put the wheels in motion. And here, fast forward a couple of years, the deal is done, and I am on my own. So what was happening was basically Blaine's Auto and Tire was my father's business. He started in 1971, and then as a teenager, that's where I worked, and I really enjoyed it in those days, and I sort of came into the mix. I went to college and I came back and started to work there as a technician. And in those days, it was just my dad and I. He had built the business up to where it was really big at one time. This is the irony of all this. He had built it up to where it was really big at one time. And he just got tired of the headaches, and he'd scaled it right down to there was pretty much just him and another technician. Then that fella left, I came in. So in the early days, it was just my dad and I. We didn't have anybody in the front. We literally just worked on cars, and at the end of the day, we made up bills and called people, and it was a bit of a shit show. But you know what? It was just an easier time back then. You could do that. And then when I started to sort of take a hold of the reins, I had that same vision. I at that point had a vision of it being massive. I was thinking, I wanted to have 8 bays and a bunch of technicians and that sort of stuff. So we started on that trajectory, and I built it up to the point where at some points we had 6 employees, and I had 100% gone out of the bays and into the front office and ran the front. And in the beginning, that was sort of I thought that was going to be the greatest thing on earth. Here I'm not going to have to get dirty anymore. No more snow dripping down the back of my neck. I'm just going to go in the office and write invoices and pay bills, and life will be happy thereafter. And it wasn't too awful long before I realized that something was missing for me, and I denied it for the longest time. But I was a terrible businessman. I had no business background. I didn't have any business schooling. I was a technician that kind of took over a shop. And the other biggest issue was my accountant used to get so mad at me because I would spend half of my time. I spent my whole, the same motto that my father had, but my father worked extremely hard and was never a wealthy man for the reason that he gave so much stuff away. He was very generous, the most generous person I ever met in my life. And I used to say to him, Dad, you can't do that. We're not a bank. We need to run a business. But there was a bit of it in me too, and I would do the same thing, and I was constantly, discounting things and carrying people, and so all of that was great. But, and through it all, I did very well. We did very good financially and whatnot. But I just realized that, my place isn't here behind this desk selling people tires. My place is working on cool shit that inspires me. And I just slowly died behind that desk. I got to the point where, man, I didn't want to go to work in the morning. And I would get into the shop. I was there early before everybody else to get things rolling. And sometimes I'd sit in my truck for 20 minutes and just psych myself up for the day, because I just knew that it was going to be so long and drawn out and miserable. And that's not a healthy environment at all. And there was nothing wrong with the business. Like, it wasn't that anything was wrong there. We had good employees, man. Great. We were so blessed. We had great employees. We had great clients. It just, for me, there was no purpose anymore. There was no passion. It was just, I was just dead, man. And I just dragged myself through the days. And I was like, there's a lot of people that end up living their whole life like that, man. They just get up and go to a 9-to-5 that they hate. And I just wasn't willing to do that. And so when the opportunity arose that I had a chance to get out and come and do this, man, I was all in, and there was no plan B. Like, people would say to me, my dad, especially, my dad's a very cautious man. He'd say, "Oh, Mark, we're going into a recession, and going into the performance world. Or what if you don't have enough work?" And I was like, man, I just knew. I was like, I had my worries. Don't get me wrong, but I thought, I don't care, because I am not doing this for another day. Like, this is over. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take this leap of faith. And I'm going to go. And people, you might be saying to yourself, well, hey, there was no risk there. You sold your company, you got all this money in the bank and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, it doesn't work that way. We did good, but I had to build a building to be able to operate out of. And that's, $300,000 building. And then, and the equipment that I've bought and purchased here, the tooling to do the job that I can do the very best. I've spent so much money lately, it's insane. But I want to make sure that if I'm going to turn out the best that I possibly can in what I do, I need to have certain tooling and equipment. So there's that. And then, at the end of the changeover, the cost of selling a corporation, it's expensive. And anyways, to make a long story short, there was never enough money from that to retire on. I'm only 51. I'm going to work for 20 more years, I'm sure. So anyways, it was a big leap of faith, because that money just basically gets tied up in other things, and it's not like I really have an income out of it. So fast forward, I move forward to get this building going, and the deal gets finished up at Blaine's at March 31st was the final closing, which was delayed. It was months delayed because, again, selling a corporation, things pop up constantly, and there was always a setback. But the cool thing is that I stayed on for a week, and they are doing fantastic. They're super busy, young Ryan and his wife, and she is so sharp, and it's the best thing that could have happened for Blaine's and for the clients of Blaine's, because they're young and they're excited, and they're as excited about that as I am about doing this. And it's so awesome to see, man. I was up there yesterday, and it's just a bustle of activity. And she's so organized, but she's got computer screens everywhere, and she's got things going. And I'm like, man, that's what that company needed, which is awesome. But what I needed was to come here every morning and work on cool shit. So basically, in a nutshell, what I'm doing because people ask me all the time, so what all do you do there? Well, in the beginning, I was doing a little bit of everything, because again, I was so worried about maybe not having enough work to pay the bills, that I was kind of taking on stuff. So ultimately, I was explaining it to somebody yesterday. I said, ultimately, I'm a finisher, meaning if you build a race car, or you build a muscle car, or you build a boat, everybody sort of plans and budgets for the motor, the body work, maybe the interior. But everybody seems to forget that car has to be put together, or that boat needs to be put together when it's done. They need to be wired, they need to be plumbed, they need to be rigged, however you want to word it. So basically what I would do is I would take a muscle car, hot rod, race car, or boat, and I finish it, meaning I would wire it, plumb it, get it to where it runs, basically bring it to life. So that's the cool thing, is that you're just taking a bunch of nuts and bolts before that, and then when I'm done with it, it's a living, breathing, running entity, I guess, if you will. So that's basically what I do. What I work on is kind of whatever, meaning if it excites me, like if I think it's cool, I'll work on it. If it doesn't do anything for me, and I'm not inspired, I just can't. I can't charge what I charge and do what I do if I'm not super inspired to go to work every day and work on it. And right now I'm surrounded in things that I love, which is awesome. So anyways, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're plumbing, we're wiring hot rods, race cars, boats, muscle cars, that sort of thing. I made a promise that I will not bill for something that I don't consider myself an utmost professional at. So ultimately, wiring, plumbing of brake lines, fuel lines, and that sort of stuff, I would consider myself a professional, trained and educated in, and that's what we're looking forward to doing. So with that's coming a little bit of tuning, some setup. I've been working for some guys in the US with their race programs, which is super cool. And yeah, man, just right now I'm working on a turbo blow through 67 Nova here, complete wiring, brake lines, fuel lines. You'll see a hydro behind me, like a 350 hydro. A client of mine bought that. He wants to restore it to its former glory. So we're building a small block Chevy for it, which I'm fairly versed in from back in the day. Those were the motors that I ran. And I'm going to build headers for it, and then it's going to go to a body shop and get painted. And he doesn't even know what he's going to do with it. It might just be a wall hanger, but he just thinks it's super cool, and he wanted to have it. So that's cool. So I got a River Rock in front of me. You guys can't see it, that I've just been doing some work on. So, man, we're just out in the backyard, man, building cool shit. And I just thought that I would take some time and kind of fill you in. I know, you see bits and pieces of it on social media, and nobody really knew exactly what was going on, but that's the long and short. So, sold Blaine's Automotive, closed that deal March 31st, started Dragboat Garage. It is a registered licensed company. Dragboat Garage Speed Marine. Dragboat Garage is, a brand that I had built over the last couple of years, and I wanted to use it, and but I wanted it to be fitting to what I do now. So that's why I added the speed and marine into it. So, and it's awesome, man. We're just, there's just me, for now. I kind of want to keep it that way. I would maybe I've been so blessed to be so busy right now that I could probably use somebody else. I just don't know that. I just need to have the control over what I do. Man, I'm just super blessed, and I'm going to keep, it's by appointment only. You can't just come here and stop in unexpectedly and check things out. So call first, and, because there's stuff here. Sometimes I have customer stuff that people don't want to know that it's here, and that's fine. I can appreciate that. Some people are very, very, private with their boats or their hot rods, and that's cool. And, but yeah, that's it. But man, I also, if you watch my video, sometimes I can get a little bit preachy, but I try not to preach about something that I haven't kind of put to the test myself. I kind of got a bit preachy when I sort of got my fitness in order and that sort of thing. But what I want to say to you is if you're at a place in your life, like what I've realized in the last couple of years, especially, man, life is fucking fragile, man, and it's short, and man, there is so much opportunity. If you're willing to get up every day and go to work, man, and put in a solid day, there is so much opportunity for you to do better than what you're doing now. Like if you fucking hate your job, man, you got to quit that job. You just got to quit. If you got a dream or a passion or something that that you're willing to get up and go to work every day, man. I saw my kid, my 18-year-old son and his buddy, during a storm, volunteer to go out and clean up clean up brush after the storm. And they did it. They offered to do it for free. They legitimately good kids. They wanted to give back to the community. Man, those dudes in like 2 days made like $1,800. You know, if there is no excuse, and to not just get out and work and not be able to make $1 in today's day and age, you know. So, man, I'm just saying, whether it's, I don't know, man, I can't, whether it's leaving a dead end job or it's a relationship, I don't know, whether it's getting your fitness in order, whatever, but man, if you're thinking about it every day and it's in your brain, you just got to pull the trigger and do it, because I can tell you, I was scared shitless doing this. I didn't have a plan B. I knew I was doing it. I'm 100% committed, but there was times I was scared. You know, I was phoning my friends that are kind of in the same business, you know, and I'd be like, man, are you busy? You know, what are you saying? Everybody said the same thing, man. Yeah, we're just pulling my hair out here. I don't, you know, and here we're in a global recession and some uncertain times, but yet, I have 6 months or more of work lined up, and it's awesome. And I think the difference in, like, my friends say to me, man, you're a completely different person. You're a different person than you were 6 months ago or a year ago. Like, I just feel this massive weight lifted off my shoulders. What Blaine's, like I say, it just sucked the life out of me, and there wasn't anything wrong there. It just, if you're not passionate about it, it's exhausting. And man, I get to walk out my back door and come back here and work on cool shit. It's awesome. But man, I think that y'all can do the same too, and whatever it might be in life. But anyways, this video was a little preachy. I apologize for that. I just kind of wanted to bring everybody up to stream and let them know and on what I'm doing. And here's what my plan is for the future moving forward is, I hope that maybe this will offer me, you know, I know I've been saying it since I started this channel, and you guys have all been great supporters. And I always say, oh man, I got to put in more time. But man, leading up to this, I had no more time. Like, I literally worked 2 full-time jobs. You know, I would work at Blaine's all day, and then I'd come home and I'd work on boats and stuff here. And that's how I, you know, afford to play, you know, to go boating and fast boats and do the things that we do. I'm hoping this allows me a little bit more time, and you know, maybe I can crank up my social media there a little bit more, you know, some YouTube, TikTok, and you know, Instagram, those sort of things. I think you guys genuinely want to see what I'm doing and what I'm working on, and I want to bring that to you. And again, like I say, it's funny, the performance boat world is funny in that some people are very secretive, and that's cool too. So there's certain things that sometimes I just can't put on camera, man. I got to just keep it parked. But anyways, I just want to thank you guys for sticking around through it, despite the fact that sometimes I don't make the biggest effort on here. Y'all still stay subscribed, and when I do post a video, you know, everybody seems to be super receptive. So thank you for that. And now you kind of caught up on where I'm at and what I'm doing. This is it, man. Now there's no more Mark from Blaine's. I still answer the phone and say Mark from Blaine's sometimes, but it's Mark at Dragboat Garage now. So anyways, guys, thank you as always. Like, subscribe, share, comment below. I kind of want to hear what you guys think. Post it down in the comments. What do you think, man? Was I crazy? Should I have just stayed what I was doing, man, and just, you know, the certainty or that, you know, that consistent paycheck, or was this a good move? You know, is this something that you would think about doing? So anyways, comment below, like, share, subscribe. Thank you. I love you. Chat soon.